Many of this channel viewers frequently asks for a strong build recommendation for them to play, and my answer always falls along the lines of Cyclone, Righteous Fire Juggernaut, and this build. You see, stacking attribute is not a difficult thing to do in Path of Exile, since most of these attributes will come from a well-planned passive tree. However, scaling benefits from such attributes, like damage, will require some serious investment. It is for this reason why this build leans more toward the high-end side of things. Now if you guys watch this channel, then you will know that I like to do things a bit differently. A regular build like this one usually only focuses on energy shield, intelligence, and resistances. This version, however, includes a second major damage scaling mechanic that we will get to talk about in a later segment of this video. That mechanic, however, benefits from a different ascendancy than Assassin, and that is a Trickster. First of all, we go for Swift Killer. This node will save you the efforts of having to use something like Blood Rage to generate frenzy charges while mapping. You will also get +1 to both your maximum frenzy and power charges, in addition to a small damage boost for every charge of them you have. Anyway, next we go for Harness the Void. This node adds additional chaos damage with hits based on non-chaos damage you have. Pretty straightforward. After that, you would want to take Ghost Dance. This node will generate Ghost Shrouds for you, each granting overall damage reduction, and recovers your energy shield by 5% of your maximum evasion when you are hit. We will not die in this build as long as we have an active Ghost Shroud, due to our massive 40,000 evasion rating that we have here. Finally, we take Escape Artist. This node grants you additional energy shield based on the amount of evasion rating you have on your body armor, and gives you evasion rating based on the amount of energy shield you have on your helm. We are benefiting from both, by the way. This node also grants you stun immunity while you have Ghost Shrouds, and scales your attack and cast speed for each one you have. And that was basically it for our Ascendancy. From here, we have built a passive tree that is heavily focused on stacking as much intelligence as possible. Stacking other things like energy shield and damage is secondary, mainly because we get both by simply picking up even more intelligence. This tree also incorporates one large cluster jewel. In it we have some strong attack notables like Opportunistic Fusillade and Feed the Fury. From here, we utilize both of its sockets for a double split personality jewel setup. This one adds additional energy shield and intelligence for each node between it and your class starting location. Moral of the story, each one ends up giving us close to 100 intelligence and energy shield flat with our specific passive tree layout. And that was basically it for our passive tree. Now let's talk about some items. At the start, I decided to spice things up by combining two major damage scaling mechanics instead of one. Aside from stacking intelligence, we are also stacking shaped items, starting with the Eternity Shroud. With this chest piece, every shaped item you have will grant you 5% of your elemental damage as extra chaos damage. And if all your items are shaped, then your chaos damage will ignore enemy monster chaos resistance. This chest also adds some evasion rating, which will grant you additional energy shield thanks to your Ascendancy. Our next item is a wand with added flat lightning damage to attacks per 10 intelligence. This mod alone is the reason why this build exists in the first place. You cannot play it without this mod because it deals 99.99% of your damage. Aside from it, you can have increased spell damage per 16 intelligence, and other attack mods like crit and attack speed. Next on the list, we have Shaper's Touch Unique Gloves. This item will give us all the accuracy rating we will ever need for this build. It will also make it so that intelligence would play a role at scaling our evasion rating just as dexterity. This will mean that this item is crucial for achieving our 40,000 evasion rating in this build. Our next item is an amulet with increased attributes, increased intelligence, increased damage per 15 intelligence, and crit multi if possible. From here, you just craft 20% increased maximum energy shield and call it a day. Don't forget to anoint Tranquility on your amulet. Tranquility makes it so that scaling maximum energy shield also applies to spell damage at 30% of its value. Intelligence grants us lots of increased maximum energy shield, and we have lots of intelligence in this build. Now by default, spell damage does not affect wand attack builds, but because we have allocated one slinger on our passive tree, it will now scale it at 100% efficiency. Anyway, our next item is a shaped Adziri's Reflection Shield. Surprisingly enough, it was not very difficult to get something like this. Chancing an Adziri's mirror first is actually easy. It took me around 200 orb of chance on average to get one. After that, you would just buy the prophecy, which is Queen's Sacrifice, and kill Uber Adziri to upgrade your Adziri's mirror into Adziri's reflection. And that's pretty much it. Our next item is a ring with Assassin's Mark curse on it. This is required to reach 100% crit chance since we are not an assassin. This mod also adds some crit multi against enemies that are cursed with this ring. Aside from that, you obviously need high intelligence roll, energy shield, and resistances if possible. Same thing applies to our other ring. This one have intelligence, resistances, energy shield, and some damage modifiers. Next for our belt, this one has increased attributes, intelligence, energy shield, and resistances. Now crafting something like this is going to be difficult. The reason for that is that belts cannot inherently roll intelligence. The only way to get them to do that is by spamming Essences of Spite until you get both intelligence and the increased attributes hunter mod. It took me an average of 50 essences to hit both mods together. However, when that happened with me, my belt rolled other useful mods like increased elemental damage with attacks and a decent resistance roll, so that was good. Our next item is a generic energy shield helm with power siphon enchant. I added both Shaper and Hunter influences to it, then I cast spammed the item until I got 10% increased intelligence and another decent energy shield roll. After that, I multi-modded the rest of the crafts for more energy shield and intelligence. Our last item is a pair of boots with movement speed, intelligence, resistances, and a decent amount of energy shield. Don't forget to get the added lightning damage to attack slab enchant because it will greatly boost your bossing damage when you have not killed anything recently. And that was basically it for our items. What about gems that goes inside of them? Our main 6 link contains Power Siphon, Awakened Elemental Damage with Attacks, Awakened Elemental Focus, Inspiration, Damage on Full Life, and Barrage Support. From here, I found that so many people uses another skill setup for clearing, which made me think that this is the biggest waste of sockets I have ever seen. Simply because swapping Barrage for Awakened Chain will allow you to clear multiple screens with a single attack. You should utilize the support gem because it is going to be nerfed in the upcoming future. That's how broken it is. Anyway, next on the list we have a 4-link setup. This one contains some auras like Wrath, Discipline, Herald of Thunder, and level 4 Enlighten. And no, this setup does not work with level 3 Enlighten sadly. Anyway, our next gem setup contains Wave of Conviction, Fist to Lightning, Faster Casting, and Increased Duration. Last but not least, we have a 3-link setup that contains some standalone gems. These includes Precision, Clarity, and the Portal gem. Any other remaining gem socket goes for whatever you see fit. You can have a movement skill setup or cast when damage taken setup. It's up to you. But with that being said, we are basically done with our gems. Now let's talk about some jewels. There are a few unique jewels in this build. The first one is Emperor's Wit. This jewel scales our maximum intelligence and crit chance, which is a no-brainer to use. You can obtain such jewel from the chest in the last room in the labyrinth. The same applies to our next unique jewel, which is Emperor's Mastery. This one scales our global attributes and global defenses. Although not best in slot option damage wise, it is best in slot option defense wise. For our Watcher's Eye, I have increased attack damage while affected by precision, and gain 10% of your maximum mana as extra maximum energy shield while affected by clarity. Any jewel socket left should be filled with normal rare jewels like this one. We are going full damage on these, since we already have lots of energy shield and evasion at this point. Last but not least, for the bandits quest, you are going to help Alira for her bonus to global critical strike multiplier and all elemental resistances. And that was basically it for this build guide. If you guys have enjoyed this video, then maybe show some love and leave a like, and maybe even subscribe so you don't miss out on any future build guides like this one. My name is Phoenix and I will see you all in the next video.